Hey YouTube, coming at you with Great League team. Started with Cresselia. So Cresselia was when I redid the rankings analysis for Great League teams. Cress was up top at number 3, and it was running Future Sight. And so for those of you who do not know the stat products, let me just bring it up here. But Future Sight, if you're looking just at damage per energy and even move, Future Sight is the better move on Cress. So the stats on it are versus Moonblast. So stats for Future Sight are 65 energy for 144 damage, 2.22 damage per energy, while Moonblast is 60 energy for 110 damage, 1.83. So if you're actually going for want a move that is the better move and basically almost the same energy, it is Future Sight. So why did it have Moonblast? And the main reason it had Moonblast was because Fairy type moves just have more play in the Great League than Psychic type moves. There's actually quite few things that are actually weak to just pure Psychic. Like you just need like a pure fighter, pretty much, right, to be weak to Psychic, or a poison. And there's not a ton of those. So a lot of people ran Moonblast because one, it was slightly quicker, still did a ton of damage, and it gave you that coverage for darks, which you are weak to, right? So it was a nice coverage for dark, and you get like the dark plus the fighter coverage with the Moonblast. I think Future Sight has risen up because there aren't a ton of darks running around right now, and Future Sight's just a better stab move. Plus, if you're using it as a safe swap, you kind of need Future Sight because Talonflame, Charizard will just wall you, resisting Grass and Moonblast. So that's it. Your problem is you're weak to you're weak to dark and you're weak to like steals and stuff. So to cover the steals, I put in Swampert, right? That was just like how I covered the steel weakness. And then I was like, okay, I need something on the lead. I'm like, I know Sableye. I know this team has problems with dark, right? Because if you put in Sableye, you're gonna have problems there. Semi problems with Lickitung too, to a certain extent. But I still did well with it. You just be aware that if you're going to run a team like this, you need to jump around a lot and work through those scenarios. But I put Sable on the lead because outside of a fairy and even some darks, you don't need to leave much. And just being able to stay in those matchups is pretty good, and then figure out what I want to do in the back with shield advantage or switch. So I grabbed a shield on the first one here. I will probably shield and grab the second one. I would not be surprised if they shield, I would have immediately switched. So they actually catch the move on a Toxapex Toxapex, which is fine. So poison is resisted on the ghost, and poison is also resisted on the ground. So I basically just banked a move on Sableye, so I had it in case I need to throw it again on the dragon there. I do not want to get hit with another Brine because Swampert's just a little too glassy that these are going to add up, and then it just puts me in Dragon Breath range. So I just take it out because if the Dragon comes back in, it's in Hydro range at this point. And the question is, do I want to shield or do I want to try and live? And I think I just let it go because now I can come in Crest and just Psycho Cut all the way down. Vigoroth comes in, which is overall a good matchup. This is where like Future Sight's like kind of hurts because I was like, maybe it's just 2 Grass Knots away. So I went Grass Knot here first, and as you see, like it's not 2 Grass Knots away. So it would be like a Moonblast Grass Knot or Future Sight Grass Knot, and Moonblast is slightly quicker energy than Future Sight. But I will just go straight Future Sight here. This will take out if they let it go. And then I can get to a Grass Knot here. I will shield because they are Shadow, and this will take me out. So I'll shield, Grass Knot, come in, Sableye, and take it out with the banked Foul Play, which is why you try and bank moves if you can, because they are very valuable come endgame scenarios like this. So we'll take it out there. I'll talk about Crest, how I felt like maybe like 5 or 6 battles in. I'll go not off topic, but I'll talk about how I felt with using Crest and stuff. This matchup, having done this a few times today, was interesting because Scald does like 50+%. It does a ton, and if you let that go, you are in Icy Wind range. So that's why I shield the first one up. Out comes a Clodsire, and I I thought an earthquake would take this out. It does not, and I still need to try and farm down with mud shots. So I could commit the shield and just farm down. What I end up doing is I let it go. And the reason is because I've Sableye with energy if the Poliwrath comes back in. And if not, I'm just loaded with energy here that I can just kind of chuck it at everything here. So Bastion comes in. Because I'm so far ahead on energy, these claws and foul plays are essentially just going to put it in like in the deep yellow, maybe even red if they don't shield. I think they shield one if I remember. Yeah, there's the shield. And they're just committing to the farm down. But what they will soon realize is that these claws and foul plays come really fast. So even if they commit to the full farm down here, which they could get, let's see if I try and swap. Or just like, yeah. I'm going to swap because if the Poliwrath comes back in and Icy Winds or Scalds me, I want to be able to reset. So yeah, someone did not know that. And because they got a shield now, it just easy Psycho Cut Grass Knot down on the Poliwrath. Someone didn't know this, and I know you're sort of all over the place. My subscribers on there, how long they've been playing. So any buff or nerf to your attack or defense resets once you leave the matchup. So if Poliwrath were to Scald me and my attack was lowered, the minute I switch into Sableye, that attack is reset and I can come back in with Crest next time around and it will be reset. That's same for all. So I'll just play this matchup the same with the foul plays. That is the same for all self nerfs and buffs and the opponent nerfs and buffs on you. Can your opponent buff your move? I remember the main game they could like buff your attack and make you confused, but that's not really a mechanic in this game. But yeah, so if you are an Obstagoon and you Night Slash boost, or you are a Talonflame and you Brave Bird nerf yourself, the moment you leave the matchup, you reset that statistic there. Cresselia. So let's just talk about Cresselia now because this is a prime. So I saw like Skarmory in 80% of the games right now. Which if I got Sableye or Swampert on it, it was fine. But man, just getting walled by steals sucks here. So just getting walled by steals is kind of rough. I will go down here, but then Swampert will be able to come in and just resist the Steel Wing. And then let's see if I just try and take this out. Or yeah, I'm going to take this out before they get a move off so I save a shield. So Cress was one of those Pokemon where it's the having a Future Sight is actually quite a hard-hitting move. I just went over the statistics there. It's quite a hard-hitting move. Where this Pokemon kind of falters is it's not that it's even slow. It's a pretty quick with Psycho Cut. It's just one of those Pokemon where it's like, how do I explain this? When you're running, this is what it comes down to, I think. When you are running a fast move like Psycho Cut, which does absolutely nothing, Psycho Cut is essentially what you use to try and charge very fast, so you can throw a lot of charge moves. But the problem is, Cress is just so tanky, and Grass Knot is just not an amazing move. I do end up winning that matchup, so that was a good workaround there. And talk about a workaround. Here's a workaround against the Dark. I just kind of have to stay in here and trip as much as I can, and then get Cress in to do Grass Knots. But when just look at all the other Pokemon with fast charging moves. So Psycho Cut, just put in perspective, is a 2-turn fast move, 4.5 energy per turn, and a 1.8 with stab damage per turn. So you're looking at similar to like, I'm guessing like Mud Shot. So let me just look up 1.8 and 4.5, and on Swampert, that should be the same. It should be a Mud Shot clone. No, actually worse, because Mud Shot gets 2.16 damage per turn and 4.5 energy. So the actual damage per turn, the actual damage per turn is less on Psycho Cut than it is on Mud Shot, right? So right off the bat, you have this like super fast charging move that does absolutely nothing fast move damage. So you have to rely on your charge move damage. And the problem is with Cress, yes, I talked about how Future Sight is a nice 2.22 damage per energy, right? 65 energy for 144 damage. Grass Knot, it's not that inconsequential, but it's a 90 damage. But again, it's not just 90 like pure damage, right? You have to consider that as a factor of, I went over the formula in one thing, but it takes in consideration your attack stat, right? So it's not just like the damage 90 take away 90. It's like that damage multiplied by multiple things, but one of your things that you're multiplying by is your attack. And your attack is a 93.1, right? You're a super defensive heavy Pokemon, 158 defense, 163 stamina. So 2400 overall, huge overall stat product, just no attack. So when you have a fast move that does nothing, charge moves which are overall good damage per energy, but still don't feel like they do a ton because you are just so bulky, it just feels like, I know the point of this Pokemon, and that's I kind of like why I don't like it as much. The point of this Pokemon is basically to absorb a ton of damage, try to flip switch or grab shields in certain scenarios if you can, right? And the problem with that, and why I don't like it compared to something like Lickitung, which also has a ton of bulk, Lickitung has a little more damage, so like damage pressure associated with the stab body slams and the licks, right? The fast move actual damage there itself. So you actually get some good pressure from Lickitung, whereas I find here with Cresselia, yes, it's super tanky and you're absorbing stuff, but there's no real pressure. The pressure comes if you have like a mud boy that you can hit super effective grass knots. Speak about grass knots, someone says that I should label these if it's a move that you need, like a legacy or community day move. So Hydro Cannon obviously on Swampert is a community day move, and Grass Knot is a legacy move, or whatever they call it, on Cress. So that's my only sort of problem with Cress. And if you look at like where does Cress fit, right? So when you're sorting by leads, I talked about how I love, in one of my videos, I love Swampert on the lead because it's the definition is the best Pokemon with shields in play, capable of applying pressure or winning extending fights. And I said, like, I love Swampert. You know those Hydro Cannons chunk. You only have one weakness. You can stay in with a ton of stuff, and you'll be able to fix your matchup. So it's like, Crest is actually number 7 on the lead category, but I like the other ones that they have here: Swampert, Medicham, Pelipper, Shadow Quag. Like, these are the ones that you only have like a few weaknesses and that you can just stay in and try and like grab shield and stuff like that. Then when you go to switches, it's actually number 4. But what I find is like number 1, 2, and 3 are Gligar, Lickitung, and Vigoroth. And again, this is not the Holiday Cup anymore. There's probably not a lot of Palosands just walling Vigoroth. I find that with Gligar, Lickitung, and Vigoroth, there's no real like walls. Because even if you get like a Skarmory on your Lickitung, you'd be surprised how fast those Lick and Body Slams add up. Same thing with Lickitung against like Registeel. Like, you are so surprised how fast that matchup adds up. And then Gligar, you may get hit with an ice, but you're still going to be able to chip. Vigoroth, same thing. You may get hit with a fighter, but those body slams come real quick that unless it's a medi, you are going to grab shields on a non just pure fighter, right? So those 3, I find that like are more safe and more damage output. Cress is a good safe swap unless you get hit with a steel, because unlike Lickitung, which actually has some fast move pressure for steals, Cress is just walled. And it was walled even more before when it ran Moonblast, because then you can also get walled by fire with Grass Knot and Moonblast. So I don't love a safe swap that can apply a ton of pressure and potentially can just get absolutely walled. I don't like that as a safe swap. Like, Poliwrath is number 5, Sableye is number 6. I would put those 2 higher than Cress in terms of like a better safe swap in the Great League. Now, If your opponent doesn't have a, let's say they don't have a dark and they don't have a steel, and you're running Psycho Cut with Future Sight that gives you coverage for that, like again, you're still weak to Ghost too. So Ghost, like a Sableye comes in, you're gonna lose that matchup pretty hard with Future Sight now because you don't have the Moonblast pressure. So it's just like it starts to add up. So again, I think Cress is good. I think Cress is way better in like Show 6 tournaments where you can figure out what your opponent has and forecast for that. But I just honestly, as a safe swap, I think it's good overall, but just as a safe swap, I didn't love it. And then where is it as a closer? I'm gonna guess pretty low. Yeah, the closers they like when there's no shields in place. So anything that can nuke here, Registeel, Skarmory, like Shadow Electivires at number 6, just because it's so glassy and can wild charge, right? So I don't love the closer rankings. But overall, lead and switch, Cress is ranked pretty high. Just be aware that if you're going to use it as a safe swap, it can get walled by steals and stuff like that, and it's very annoying to get out of. I would actually, if I were going to run Cress again, I would be more comfortable with it on the lead, even though it doesn't play the same role that I like in Swampert on the lead. I would play it on the lead as opposed to a safe swap. Anyways, that is my long-winded way of talking about Cress, but I feel like I should talk about it because I have not used Cress in a really long time in the Great League. Just because like why didn't I use it last season? Because last season the meta was Medi, Lantern, Gligar, and realistically Cress can kind of deal with all those. So you probably should have used it more last year than you would this year. This year though, there's a lot of Mud Boys. So Grass Knot is great there. Like, hello Mud Boy, right? Tons of Mud Boys. Sableye is around. I just talked about how strong Sableye is in the video earlier this week. And again, sort of now. I haven't really talked about it much, but it is, I find it very strong still. Swampert I think is still strong, but that's again a Mud Boy. You're seeing more Talonflames, which Future Sight helps there. You're seeing more Skarmories, which is just like a tough matchup. So it just depends how you want to use it and play it. But I think it's strong. Do you need Grass Knot? That's the next question. Do you need Grass Knot, or can you run Moonblast Future Sight? Because I know a lot of you will not have Grass Knot. I think you can. Sort of the problem is the difference in energy between Grass Knot and Moonblast is 10 energy. So you only have, if you run Moonblast Future Sight, you have to go to a 60 or 65 like move there, which is okay because you do charge fast, but it still takes 9, 18, 27, 36, 54, nope, 63. So you need 63. So you still need now six Psycho Cuts as opposed to 27, 36, 45, 54. Nope, 54 would give you the Grass Knot. 63, 7 would give you the rest. So instead of going 6 to get a Grass Knot, you now have to go 7 to get to Future Sight and Moonblast. There's a lot of, like, again, like there's a decent amount of water in this. Azumarill, Lanterns, the Mud Boys, Jellicent, stuff like that too. So like you're giving up a lot. You're giving up a lot not having the grass. I talked about earlier in the season how grass is kind of on going away a bit just because of the way the meta's shaking up, but it shouldn't be because there's like 8 to 10 waters in the top 20 rankings. So having a neutral Pokemon that's not grass that has a grass moves is not bad. But again, grass or not, one of grass's biggest weaknesses is going to be Skarmory, and Cress gets walled by Skarmory anyways. Right? So that's why I'm just kind of staying in here because you kind of have to. So they try and catch, and they almost do catch, which is fine. I actually end up seeing what it is and throwing anyways because they don't have Moonblast. If I had Moonblast, I'd probably have just bank that and come in here. But the reason I actually also didn't come in here right away is because now I can get out of this matchup. If I had come in here, I would have been switch locked. but now I'm not switch locked. So if the Skarmory comes back in here, I can immediately jump into my Swampert. So down I go. When that goes, as you see, I'm clicking because I know they're coming back in Skarmory, and now I know they're switch locked. I'm gonna grab a shield right away because I know they're just trying to like burn the clock out a bit to a certain extent. So I'm just gonna grab a shield, shield back. Sky Attack or Brave Bird both would hurt a lot here. And they have a Whiscash of their own. So I am trying to burn this clock out now too. They end up shielding, which is pretty big. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bank a Hydro. Scald does a lot. I'm trying to burn the switch clock and not get farmed down. So I do want to come out with the Hydro. I'm at 2 Hydros. Get that, immediately get out, bank that move. I could take anything from Whiscash. Scald, I would live Scald, but I think the reason I'm doing it is just because I could just get this out right away. I guess I should learn counts, not that it matters too much. Because Skarmory can't farm me down before I get to a move anyway, so they're going to have to throw. And it doesn't matter because I have a Hydro Cannon banked. So bank your moves. They will help you in the end game. So that's a team. That's my deep dive on Cress if you're going to use it. Again, the team has flaws, so you might not want to run this exact same team, but if you're going to build around Cress, that's kind of what my thoughts are on how to use it. Anyways, that is it. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate the support. And I'll see you guys in the next one.